Causes in Common is a national organizing initiative of the Center that joins the activism of LGBT liberation with the women's reproductive rights movement to work towards shared goals. For the first time this year, members of this coalition sat down face-to-face in Chicago to strategize their actions. Here's some highlights from the second session about new reproductive technologies.
There's so much to say about assisted reproductive genetic technologies. So I will start by saying thank you to Causes in Common for building this coalition around critical and cutting-edge issues regarding LGBTIQ rights, reproductive justice, human rights, and our social justice movements. And thank you in particular for grappling and imagining our role, our new role, in this dialogue about assisted reproductive and genetic technologies and what these new technologies will mean for all of us, our families, our communities, and our movements.
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people have always been parents and have always had families. Previously, they were a lot from like heterosexual relationships that broke up and they continued on with their kids. But more recently, queer people are having kids as queer people, like in queer unions. In the 2000 census, which included unmarried partners as a category for the first time, if you recall, shows us that 1 out of 3 female same-sex headed households have a child under the age of 18 in it. And 1 out of 5 male same-sex headed households have a child under the age of 18. Those numbers are striking. Like when I heard that, I was still really taken aback. When I was coming out as a teenager, about, when I was 16 or so, the idea of like queers having kids was an idea out there, but it was rare. But today in the youth program, when you talk to young people, having kids is like a really normal part of their life planning and future planning. Well, these technologies, of course, are also critically important to queers having children and having biological children. But just these having things available, should we have them, right? Should we have fertility drugs that let or make women have 5, 6, 7 babies at a time, as happens? Should we be putting this stuff in our bodies? Do we know what it really does to us, right? And just because you can choose the race, height, weight, IQ, schooling, disposition, hair color, and disease history from a sperm bank or an egg donor, should we? How much should we, if we do? And how much of that is what happens in the real world anyway when we say, you're cute, let's hook up?
For many of us, family is by definition the group of people that you're required to love, warts and all. These technologies present us with the possibility of saying, I will only love you, I will only want you, I will only value you if you have 10 fingers and toes. If you come from an Ivy League egg, if you're tall, if your genetic material somehow has encoded in it certain SAT scores, or if you are a boy or a girl. Lee Silver, a professor at Princeton University, he writes in a book called Remaking Eden, and this is his dream, which is my nightmare, is the economy, the media, the entertainment industry, and the knowledge industry will be controlled by members of the gen-rich class. This is people who are rich enough to afford genetic modification. Naturals will work as low-paid service providers or as laborers. And ultimately, they will have as much romantic interest between each other as a current human being would have for a chimpanzee. But I also have a dream as it relates to these technologies. I feel a little, anyway. Yes. I dream that we will value all humans and all our diversity, not just the tall, not just the athletic, not just the Ivy Leaguers. That we will celebrate humanity, the humanity in all of us, regardless of our sex, regardless of our abilities, regardless of the differences that make us interesting to each other. So to make this dream a reality, of course we need to do coalition building. This is work that we have based very much on the Causes in Common model, is cross-movement dialogue. Let's bring specific movements together to talk about commonalities, but also to work out the differences, so that we are not working at cross purposes, that we know each other, we know each other's histories, we know each other's issues, and that we at some point have to sit across from the table from each other and be accountable for the policy and legislation that we passed.